Happy November! I met this past week with the leadership teams at your various schools and centers and just heard such great things. I heard about a group of kids at Brookside who spontaneously started doing the breathing things on the playground, and just that I think Leawood is on Monday making little videos of your classes doing all the different breathing techniques. So whether you did multiple, pick one, maybe you were already doing them and just were re-emphasizing them, but congratulations, and you did it. And I just want to applaud you for that. And as we move into November, we're going to continue to build on these skills, and we're going to use that breathing and bring them into our safe space. But I wanted to remind us really quick of that quote, that a child cannot regulate in the presence of a dysregulated adult. So as we keep moving through this and we get deeper into the year and the holidays start coming, we have to continually remind ourselves that we as the adult need to also be practicing these self-regulation tools and tricks with our kids that we're teaching our kids. And so I would encourage you, even in your classrooms, if you feel yourself getting triggered, to talk out loud to your kids and help walk them through how you're going to choose to be a star, and you're going to stop and smile and take a deep breath and relax. Or you're going to do a balloon breath or a drain breathing, and model that for your kids, and don't be afraid to do that. The other thing that I heard that I loved was just that some of the teams, as they talked about some students that maybe you guys are struggling with, they used the brain states of the child, and as they were processing and reflecting, I heard language like, yeah, when that child comes in, he's in his red zone or in fight or flight, and we're really working on helping him feel safe. And when we can identify and be in our green state and see positive intent with kids, we're able to look at a child and instead of just the behavior and trying to stop the behavior, really say, gosh, what is their behavior trying to tell me? And just that reminder that that red zone is no eye contact. It's lots of body, maybe biting, hitting, kicking, or retreating and hiding under a table or things like that, but not making eye contact. That child is not feeling safe. And until he feels or she feels safe, they're not going to be able to learn any of these other skills. And then in that blue zone, it's that non-compliance, maybe saying no, being real grumpy, maybe still making eye contact, but you're not getting a lot from them, or they're, maybe not playing nice with other kids. That child is really struggling with connection, whether with you or the other kiddos in the class. And so until, again, we build in those connections and really work on those pieces, we're not going to be able to teach. So I loved hearing them talk through different students and really ways that you guys as a school family were working with those kids to help them feel safe and then connected. And so next month we'll work on I Love You rituals, which will just continue to build on that connection piece. And so that's going to be really fun. And I'm looking forward to that. But this month we get to move into talking about safekeeper rituals and using your safe space. So I know a lot of you have safe spaces in your classroom or did at one time. And if you don't, this would be a great month to kind of reevaluate. What does that look like? How do we set it up? A beanbag is great because when I sit in a beanbag chair, it kind of gives me a hug. Most of the kids birth to 5 are still going to need an adult to go and co-regulate with them in a safe space. So this month I have included some video links for you to watch of a couple of examples, one with a really little child and then one with more of a preschool age child in a classroom. And then you have people in your buildings who are already doing this in their classroom who are going to videotape as well. So the first thing is to kind of set up your safe space. We're also going to work at getting each of you a little manila folder where you're going to have the feeling faces and the breathing icons so that you can really sit with a child and go through these. You can also have them on your wall. That's okay if you prefer that. And we'll talk about how to use those. But first, it really starts with, again, building in a ritual. And that ritual is called a safekeeper ritual. Again, you have a teacher in your building that is already doing this and is going to video it and send it out to you. But in the meantime, there's a couple of videos that your director will give you that you can watch to give you some ideas. I want you to make this your own, and it will depend on the age of kids in your class. I would start as young as 18 months, and you're going to have a little hinged box. They talk about like a little treasure trove. It can just be a basket, that's fine, but you need something for each child in your class. So either they can bring a little trinkety thing that represents them. Some teachers paint rocks. Some use tongue depressors. That's probably the most common. It can even just have their name on it. It's cute if it has their little face, a picture of them on the end of the tongue depressor. And then some teachers do this at drop off as kind of part of their attendance. And some people do it at circle time. But the idea is to help them say the mantra. You're going to say, my job as the safekeeper is to keep you safe. Your job is to keep it safe. Do you agree to help keep it safe? And if they say yes, they put their little object that represents them into the box. And then we're going to use that language of safety throughout the day. So again, there's a couple of different links to show you different fun ways to do this and how to implement it. But once they say at the beginning of the day that they will help keep safe, and again, those 18-month-olds, you're just going to be helping them do it and get in the habit of it. So as they move into those older classrooms, the language is already going to be familiar. Then throughout the day, we're going to use the language of safety in our classroom, and we can talk about all kinds of behaviors as safe, and it kind of always ties back to we are the safekeeper in the classroom as the teacher, and my job as a safekeeper is to help keep us safe. And so that can look like leaving toys on the floor isn't safe. Sarah, help me pick these toys up and put them in the basket just like this. Or Michael, pushing Jane isn't safe. If you want her to move, say move please. Or Joyce, standing on the table isn't safe. Hold my hand and let me help you down. So you use that language of safety throughout the day, and a reminder to them of, oh, remember your job is to keep it safe. How can you help keep it safe? And so you can ask them with the older kids, like, oh, that's not safe. How could we make it safe? And have them help in that problem solving, because as soon as they answer that question, you're moving them back to that green spot in their brain, which is great. Then I included a link this month, and it's to the book Read Aloud, Schubert is a Star. For our older kids, this is such a great introduction. It talks about little Schubert's having a grumpy day. The teacher uses great language with him and eventually teaches the class throughout the book how to use the safe space. So even if you have younger kids, you might watch it. I included a read aloud version of it. We're going to try to maybe get book copies for the older classes. It's a long book with lots of words, so probably only for maybe 4-year-olds and up. But I think it's great for everybody. So even if you have 2 or 3-year-olds, I would listen to the audio version of it, as it really does help kind of model how to use the safe space in a classroom, including the different breathing techniques. So as the teacher sees that Schubert's having a rough day, she uses some great language with him, and she says, gives him like the DNA process that we worked on last month, like, oh, your face is going like this and your hands are going like this, and you know, you said something not nice to Jane over here. It's your body and voice is telling me that you might be mad. Are you feeling mad? And then she gives him the option of using some cranky cream, boo-boo cream, or concentration cream, which I thought was cute. Some of you may have heard of having cranky cream, and she does that before anything else. And he does that, but it doesn't really help. So then she talks to the class about, have any of you ever felt bug mad? And of course they all say yes. And then she talks about, well, have you ever felt caterpillar calm? And you know what? We can learn how to go from mad to calm. And so you've already done the work of teaching these breathing techniques now. So now we're going to help kids identify when I'm mad, I can use these breathing techniques to help me feel calm, and which one feels safe. And you can ask the kids that if you have older kids, does mad feel safe or does calm feel safe? And so in order to help ourselves feel safe, we can use one of these breathing techniques to help our bodies feel safe. And so she goes through that with them, and then she says, we have a place in our classroom that you can practice this all by yourself. So if you're feeling mad or frustrated, you can go to the safe space and you can choose one of these ways, and you could have your cranky cream in there. You can have maybe some weighted stuffed animals in there. You could have books, maybe some coloring pages. And so maybe you have pictures of the different options, and when the kids are in the safe space, they can choose, identify first how they're feeling, and then choose what will make them feel better. And so that is the hope of a safe space. And by the age of 4 or 5, a child might be able to, with practice after having been taught, be able to go use that safe space on their own. But in our littlest ages, all the way down to maybe 18 months to 2, we would take a child to the safe space and co-regulate with them. And so we're gonna let them sit with us or by us, depending on the kid, you know them best, and take some deep breaths with them. There's a great video example that you'll have that you can watch. And this is where this comes in. And then you can go through and say, gosh, you know, it looks like you're having a hard time. You know, which one of these are you feeling? Frustrated or anxious? Disappointed? And letting a child try to pick. They may not be able to pick, but they might. And then they can pick which breathing technique they want. This is the simplest form. Again, you could add some other things or an I love you ritual in there. Or after they do the breathing thing, maybe you do an I love you ritual with them before you send them back to play. And again, as they get older, this could be a place that they go and take themselves to as well. So there are some video links that you can watch and see it in action. You have a teacher in your building that hopefully is going to be working on getting a recording to you so that you can watch it, or ask your director if you could pop into their classroom to watch somebody who's already using it well. And then if you need ideas, I know that your directors and assistant directors and other people that went to the Conscious Discipline Institute have some ideas. So I wish you well in creating a safe keeper ritual and then utilizing that safe space with the breathing techniques you have already been using. And again, well done, you did it. You did the hard part of teaching the kids the breathing techniques. Now we're gonna help them figure out that when I am frustrated or mad or angry or sad is when I can use those to help move my brain up the elevator a little bit. So best of luck to you, and I can't wait to hear how it goes.